large corporate, thinking about it more from how can I be driving this change that we are calling the VUCA, as opposed to being a victim of that change.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's really exciting. But I don't know if you noticed, but each of the things you described is solving a problem, is providing a solution to an existing problem. Okay? But I will also say that you have improved over what existed. Okay? But someone can also improve over what you've done. So if you're not continuously improving, trying to speak to your customers to find out if they still have more pain points or able to suggest further improvements, somebody can also VUCA you. So right now you're cool because you're the one VUCAing others, but it can happen to you if you're not continuously improving. Okay, so really the whole idea, I mean the cycle, and I spoke about this in class many times, is identify a problem, provide the solution, commercialize, and then the next and most important step, continuously improve. Because that's what keeps you at the forefront of technology, and that's why Amazon is still where it is today, because they're continuously doing things better and better. You know, Amazon Prime and all, and in fact, they almost give you the things ahead of your requesting it right now. You know, so that's the way it goes. So I think it's time for us to open it up to the public. I don't know if we have questions. Yes.
A VUCA man like him,
yes,
will always be a VUCA man. So Amazon is VUCA.
Yes.
That's why they continue.
Well, that's why I said to him that he has to continue to improve what he's
He's not going to give up. He's not going to
Definitely.
Yes.
But don't think that the younger people, or again, that's the beauty of having the kind of hubs you have,
yes,
and having a whole pool of techies, because Sonny's goal was to disrupt themselves. So there must be somebody in the organization, as things are being created, that looks into continuous improvement. Otherwise, you will be VUCA.
No, they're giving birth to VUCAs.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
but let's not forget
so try and get the VUCA into
that once upon a time, if we did a software in a room like this, Nokia will be 90% of the mobile phones.
Absolutely.
BlackBerry, those disappear.
Yes.
So
Nokia too.
Things do change.
Things do change, but you see, if you have in mind that you have to be continuously improving, then you resist becoming a Nokia or a Polaroid or a Blockbuster.
But there will be a time to pick up.
Oh, definitely. But that's what happens when you're trying to solve problems. You pivot without realizing you're trying to pivot, because you just identify a solution to a problem you're seeing, and that's what drives it. So I guess my teacher mode is in action here, because I'm trying to help you see how you pivot, because you don't just pivot because you want to pivot, because you can pivot. If you're a fish and you pivot out of water, what happens? You die. So something has to drive your pivot for that pivot to be successful. There has to be a problem you're trying to solve, a solution you're creating for an existing problem, for that pivot to be profitable.
Sorry.
Yes.
I think you said this before, but I wanted to say there are different sides to it.
Definitely.
VUCA is not necessarily trying to pivot trying to solve an existing problem. There are skills to it. Sometimes there's no problem. And I think you referred to it. There's no problem. It's just that your mind, the VUCAist's mind is in overdrive. So he creates a problem where there is none. And creates a problem for the kind of thing that you come up with and say, who sent you? Like everything seems to be working fine. And then somebody just wakes up and brings a new way of doing things. And bringing it to an LBS and academia is some of the things that we are not seeing enough of. I built a hub within UNN, University of Nigeria, and what was the objective? To commercialize research. Recently we've been talking to the Committee of Vice Chancellors, and they were telling me about the tons and tons of records they digitalized of research work, valuable research work done across this country that is not finding its way into any commercial use. So as we think about things, it is one major area that looks like it's all okay, but it's waiting. It's like a large sea filled with fish for VUCAists or whatever we call it, to swim in.
Thank you so much. So I'll just make a point there, just so that it's clear. So I'm sure we all are familiar with IDEO in the US. It's a company that is well known for great ideas, okay, and they've made a lot of money for their great ideas. But they also have a museum of ideas that failed in the market, okay. So the truth is, what makes an idea fail in the market? It's very simple. What we've been saying since when they lacked relevance. There was a time they came up with Vista. What was the worst thing Microsoft ever did? Okay, so when your VUCA mind is just VUCAing without it solving a relevant problem or having a target market in mind, it very easily goes to that museum of ideas where they have a lot of failed ideas. So it's not enough for you to have an idea. That idea must be useful and relevant for people to be willing to pay. There's no willingness to pay, then you're VUCA, you've done what you want to do, and that's your business. The market will do what they want to do. But when you don't fail is when people say, wow, this can do this for me, I'm getting it. Okay?
Yes, the market must like something, but there's also execution.
True.
Ability to execute is another thing. If you have a wonderful idea that the market likes, your ability to execute could stem from just the kind of team that you can build, your access to market, your access to finance. So there's a whole lot of factors that can affect the success of an idea beyond the immediate market, which is also why sometimes people will come, fail in the market, and another guy will come with sometimes even a less viable or a less better idea, so to say, and succeed. Maybe he has the right network, maybe he has the right funding, maybe he's able to test with a telco, a service that the other guy never found anybody, never knew anybody in a telco, because the telco is a massive infrastructure. Roll out and get into 10 million users overnight because you had access to some bands to you. So there are so many factors, and these are some of the things we I don't want to use the word teach, but talk about to founders that is different from the traditional academic structures, and there are so many things that they do. When you were talking about the model of how you fund your current businesses, it just reminds me a little bit about how startups also find people. Maybe I want you because you have access and I give you some fractional shares, and so many other models and templates that people use to succeed and to execute.
So to add to that, and also sort of shed more light, like link what you said initially, there might not be a problem, and then somebody else. To link it back to the fundamental idea behind VUCA, which is change. And so it's very relatable for people. I think what prompts that is so change is happening, right? Particularly technology. People are working with science is evolving, people are discovering new ways and creating technology out of them. So what happens typically is that everything seems to be fine. And then technology comes out that creates a new capability. It's a capability, it's not a product yet. So the most VUCAized person who is following the trends and really observes that new capability, figures out how to translate it into a product that becomes far superior to what everybody thought was normal.
Yes.
And then you have that disruption.
Yes.
So a good example, I talked about the cloud and stuff. The cloud was something new at that time. Right, and we were early adopters of the cloud in that, and we need technology. So by taking that technology and the way it can crash costs by sort of harmonizing, converting multiple costs into one, make it cheaper and better and so on. We were sort of first in thinking that we are rolling it out, and so I think just for everyone, it's about sort of tracking technological development, the new capabilities that come, and also always asking what new capability will become a fantastic new product, and figuring out through execution how you can convert it and deliver it.
Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing in terms, because that's continuous improvement you're describing now. which is really a way to make things better. So if you look at M-Pesa, for instance, okay, I remember I once went to South Africa for a meeting, and a bus of Kenyans were robbed, and they said to me, oh, they know that black people travel with cash while Europeans travel with cards. So they usually target black people when they arrive. So they rob up everything in the kind, all their cash, laptops and everything. And so the innovation of the debit card definitely is not just to make payments easy, but also saves you from, there's safety in it as well. So I guess the truth is, I think we're all saying the same thing in terms of whether you're solving a problem, meeting a need, or you're just continuously improving an existing solution. That just helps you to either disrupt or come up with a better solution or prevent yourself from being disrupted. Okay, so let's open it up to the audience if there are more questions.
Okay, I think Dr. has one.
Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying the discussion that's ongoing. I remember sometime in late 2019, I just somehow got frustrated. This part where you go to a mall, any shop, as a matter of fact, to buy something, and then you make payments, and then you have to wait for the person receiving your payments to call the madam or whoever receives the alert to confirm your payment has been made before you can, move with what you bought. And I've experienced it a couple of times, and I kept thinking there could be a solution where you make these payments and these people who interact face to face with the clients or the customers receive the alert. Well, maybe owners of businesses have their, skepticism about them seeing the balance and all of that, but the banks can do something about it. And it disturbed me so much that I had to call somebody I know works in the IT department and app development department of one of the banks I bank with. And I told him, come, I want to suggest something to you. Is it possible that you guys, design something where customers can buy and make payments, and then the cashiers can see the payments, there, confirm payment without customers having to wait and sometimes drop the things and leave because you're not able to. And then he was like, wow, that's a tall order, but he's going to talk to the management about it. Please pardon me, I'm trying to give a background, so I asked my question. And then 2 months later, I called him to ask, because what he told me then was he was going to speak to the team. They are in the app development and all of that unit. And then when I called him back, what he told me was, well, the team is working on this and that, which confirmed, I think, what one of the panelists had said about what banks, keep focusing on rather than looking at providing solutions. So now, with Money Point on board, it's so amazing how, they came up with this whole thing, and today, you make your payments, right there they receive the alerts, and then you just pick your thing and go without them having to call. So you can see how much that has, brought into that business landscape. So the question for me, it tells me that businesses are, talking about this VUCA we're talking about, businesses are the mercies of the extent to which the members of their team, from top to bottom, can think. And if they are not able to think, they're likely going to be the victims of the VUCA that we're in. So now, beyond just talking about this VUCA, what practical steps and intentional, how can businesses become intentional about, being not the victims now, but the VUCA themselves, the ones introducing it, okay? How can, is it a management responsibility? Is it maybe the junior staff responsibility? Or is it everybody's responsibility in the organization? But generally, how can organizations be intentional about this so that we don't end up being victims? Because now you can see that the banks, Money Point alone, It's putting them on their toes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have my thoughts, but let me have this.
I have a quick tip. I'll just mention a few things that I've seen. First of all is different kind of training. And that training requires sometimes the leadership of big corporates and organizations to interact where they would not normally interact. And this is very, very critical for a country like Nigeria and our democracy. I have a 16-year-old daughter. Sometimes when I discuss with her and how she thinks, but if you realize that 60-65% of Nigerians are closer to her age group, then you go to the corporates and see the leadership and their age. It will tell you what may be coming out of those rooms. And the second thing I would like to touch on is corporate innovation. I know it can be a fad or a buzzword, and I'll try to break it down. Ability for organizations to interact more around the innovation activity outside of their own corporates. So it's not about them building, or people like build solutions for banks. They need to find 15 years ago and understand what is going in their minds. If they are not able to do that, then they will just keep hiring the talents that they see. A lot of companies today, in fact, for me, I ask for skills for lots of the things we hire for. Maybe if I'm hiring a HR person, I want to know if they're in CIPM, they have an MBA. When I'm hiring my tech talents, I want to know what they've built. And many of them, some of them have dropped out of school. Some of them, their education has no bearing capabilities. So that mindset change is critical. Thank you.
All right. Okay, no, I was just going to say, so it's a question of disease leadership, and disease I think, so there's a part to do with leadership, and I mean top leadership. And so it's part of the founder has to be really motivated. There's just no way, because at that early stage, the team is small, right? So a lot of that innovative thinking is dependent on the founder's vision or sort of product ideas and so on. But then as the company scales, it becomes more into an enterprise. There are a number of other areas, so culture, the systems or processes, and then obviously really high, right? The hiring, so one of the speakers said, hire for attitude and then train for skills. I hire for attitude and aptitude. Right? Attitude and attitude. Attitude is the potential, and then you can train. But the attitude is not there. You can train from now to for 200 years, and you don't get it. But that's not the drive that area. So hiring is key, but the culture of innovation, like allowing creating like an experimental environment, an environment that allows that sort of encourages people to experiment, try stuff, and not be scared of being fired for mistakes. There are mistakes that should be fired for things that are really mature, that have been happening, they're not new. Everybody should know this how this happens and make that mistake, then we should fire. But balancing it out with making people comfortable that they will be fired for trying new stuff, right? And getting that culture, and then some kinds of processes or systems that sort of foster that innovative environment. So I think it's not just the thing of smaller companies that started at easier, but I give the example of India and other big companies who have used the corporate innovation thing to create new ideas. Those ideas went on to define what the company is about, change the entire who the company is. So I think a bit of leadership, and then the rest of the company, but still, even the rest of the income function innovative is still dependent on the leadership.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I would like to take some.
Okay, so I'll just quickly say something to sort of like summarize what both of you have said. And really, I mean, this is something I teach in school, corporate innovation. It's definitely, we all say culture eats strategy for breakfast, and that's it. So if the culture of the organization is not open to understand that, hey, as a business, you're here to serve the market. It's not about you, it's about what the market wants. Okay, so when you have that open mindset to say, what is the market asking for? What are my customers complaining about? Because just like you're saying, pain. I've sometimes actually dropped all the things I've bought when they set the queue at the tail is too long. I don't have that kind of time. So that's why you go abroad and you see that they have self-service points, okay, and they increase the number of, payment points so that nobody is discouraged to go shopping anywhere because they know that they're going to spend at least 30 minutes to 1 hour on the queue or trying to get payments confirmed. So it goes back to the culture, and at the end of the day, it's the leader of the organization that determines the culture. As simple as that. So you ask most people what is culture, they tell you the way we do things here. Well, what determines that? It's the person at the top, his personality. Also, so if he's open to innovation, if he's open to learning, okay, then he will listen to not only his customers, but even to his staff, and make it, and encourage people to bring their ideas, because everybody's seen a different part of the organization. Like the 7 blind men and the elephants. One person touched the ears and said it was something, another person touched the leg and said it was something else. So each person sees a different thing. And if you have an open culture where there's communication going bottom up and top down, it's easier for you to hear the things. And then of course, if you really want to be an innovative organization, create an innovation pipeline where people who have ideas and go to somebody and they have the parameters. This is the idea, this is the cost, this is the benefits. Okay, this is how we can implement, and then make a presentation that's holistic. It goes from one layer to the next, gets quickly approved. Okay, the budget. So there are things that actually make it easier for an organization to adapt or imbibe new ideas and implement it. Okay, and it goes back to what we were saying before. Yes, have the idea, but very good with management execution is easier. Okay, so
right.
let's take the last 2 questions.
That's the question.
Everyone. Okay, hi everyone. So we've spoken a lot about continuous improvement, the need for continuous improvement, and a lot of organizations that we have here in Nigeria, maybe global organizations, that is one thing that they always focus on, right? But then you see, there's one thing that I think is also very important for us to consider, and that's timing. Timing and discernment. For small businesses or small and medium-sized businesses, they do not have the resource to set up a research and development department that are saying, what is the next thing we need to be investing in, right? So for small businesses in Nigeria, I feel like they lean on God and the Holy Spirit. And sometimes when the Holy Spirit inspires them, they're like, okay, maybe this is what we want to do. For large-sized businesses and, maybe larger corporations, they invest heavily in research and development and all of that. But then guess what? Even with all of that research, and sometimes with, people who lean on their faith, they get it wrong, right? But then let's focus on the large corporations that have huge investment to hire the best people to do research. Oh, this next product, this is what we need to invest in. And sometimes the market just isn't ready, right? And more often than not, it's probably because that product is coming earlier than it should. And sometimes it's just because the product just doesn't work. So as leaders, how do you, that spirit of discernment, a lot of leaders, a lot of founders, they lean on their guts, and a lot of time they actually work. But then without relying on your gut, how do you get that time? Like, how do you know that this is the right time? How do you discern that this is the right time that I should be doing this? Because sometimes if you make that move too early, your company can literally die. So I guess I want to just hear from whoever has that thing. And I don't want to hear like the generic thing, like, what is that superpower for all of you here? What is that thing that you lean on? And if it's your gut, I would respect it, but I would really like to know.
Okay.
Are you an entrepreneur?
One last question.
Do you run a business? But do you want to run a business? Okay. You asked the question and you answered it. It's your thoughts. And let me tell you, experience. I think that why the organizers of this great occasion invited people like us is to come and speak our life experience. We are not alumni of Lagos business. So they wanted a mix, okay? Now I'm telling you, there is no right time for an entrepreneur to start a business. It is the time that your God's ready. So always remember that when Apple showed up, the world was not ready for Apple, but they didn't stop. Zuckerberg tried so many other businesses before he arrived at Facebook. So every one of them had been in business. You are only clapping for them of the one that they have succeeded. They've been there. They've been locked in there for years. So okay, who can put his hand on my head and say, come and speak? He couldn't have told me that some 15 years ago because I was like a shipwreck. He couldn't touch me because there was nothing to speak about. But I have been there now 28 years. The company that I founded didn't make profit until 2 years ago. Has always been in debt from day one to yes. So anytime you start, anytime your gut feeling tells you, see, that is what I wanted to hear. Forget about all the strategy session. It's your gut feeling. The moment it says start, don't be afraid to fail. Fail and stand up. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you to panelists. I have some very good questions. I know we're speaking on products earlier, and when we should go to the market, and I was talking about gut feeling over strategy. But do we believe that sometimes the market is not ready for the service or product we want to offer? And how do we address things like that? Say, for example, now as fund managers, we're very big on infrastructure fund, so the $3 trillion deficit by Nigerian government. 30 years ago, nobody would invest in an infrastructure fund, for example. But now the PFA, CPFAs are big on that. So how do you know that the market is ready for the product, however fantastic it is? Second question is we spoke on change improvement, constantly researching and strategizing, but how important is whatever you're developing should be related to the finance? So Steve Jobs knows your iPhone. He made it very relatable. He looks at the music that I can't remember what it's called right now. The music that he looked at the iPod, right? So it was very relatable. So how do we ensure that whatever we're doing while we do this change improvement is very relatable to what's already existing? Thank you.
Not just I don't think that response is very something. Let me start by saying that. There are two responses. It's also nice of the two reasons why products fail I want to touch on. We touched on maybe being too early and maybe not being related. And these are the two reasons. And so you're asking, how do you have a sure bet that the product will be successful? You'll never be able to. That's the short answer. But the kind of slightly longer answer is if you take that back to remind that look, this thing may not work, right? It's an experiment. Something new, it's an experiment. And there are ways to keep experiments. One way is what you have to be open for feedback to. You have to be incremental. You can't bet the whole house on something that you're not even testing. Yes, that's the recipe for. So you have to plan in a way that you can even fail, you do the way that can come out something. Yeah, and then you can implement based on feedback and decide what to pivot on, and this thing doesn't make any sense. So that, and this is typical, that's the kind of formula in startup. You have to have a pivot and you hit like a massive thing. But usually the learnings from those ones are very helpful. And sometimes part of what you build will become very, very, very valuable. A good example also in the enterprise is Facebook. Better. A few years ago, we talked about pivoted to the whole meta-landscape, and it sounded crazy. It was crazy. But because it's very impressional, they backed it through a model. And of course, over time, people are like, the system is not. It makes sense, but maybe it's too early, right? And you can see the pivoted back. But what has happened? They are ahead of every other in this AR class. What might be good before? They are ahead of every other. Right? Almost a happenstance. But it's not. What happened is that the investment they made partly wasted and now put them. Just when everyone's now realized our next thing is like the own technology is really ahead. So it still adds up in the end, but there's no surefire way of
I just want to quickly say something. You mentioned Steve Jobs. You mentioned the product. I know that the Macintosh wasn't considered right for the market at the time. The man just kept on executing. I know that imagine the Mac came, they had CPUs that were bulky with all the things in it, and the man put everything in one box. I don't think he would have, like, what's this? The phone, a keyless phone at the time of the first iPhone wouldn't have made sense. I mean, when did we even transit away from keyless phones? Most phones are now without keypads. They are virtual keypads, but he did it a long time ago and kept moving. So I think, yeah, just to say that that's never a good time, just move. Buttress what my co-panelists.
Okay, so I'll just, you're all on point. In the business school sense, we say call that a feasibility study. Many entrepreneurs said that school is far from reality, and I smile because I used to think the same thing. In fact, I didn't want to do a PhD for that reason. I just did it because LBS needed us to have PhD so they could get accreditation. But what I discovered, okay, maybe this will help you as practitioners, when I did the PhD, was that theory was the most practical thing. Why? Because theory is an observation of different things. So everything you've said, we'll simply call it a feasibility study, which is when you try out something. You can't, like he said, you start small so that any mistake is recoverable. It doesn't knock you out, number one. And number two, you're getting feedback from customers to refine your initial idea. No initial idea is ever perfect. It has to be refined with feedback from customers. And that's what leads you to that incremental improvements, that you get to that product that everybody wants, and then you can still continuously improve. So there's nothing you guys have said here that is not packaged in one whatever or the other. It's not practice or theory. It's that the two things go together, and theory actually accelerates your practice. So I welcome you guys to LBS. All right. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. You've been really, really wonderful, and I hope that this session has been useful to the audience. Yeah, so thank you for being here, and thank you for having me.
Wow. So Tony, please give them MBA forms. So the next session is
We go to other schools.
Oh, come on. Why not come to the best?
When we call the names, you'll be surprised.
All right, we would like to invite Timmy, the head of the planning committee, to come and show them our appreciation. Timmy, are you there? Yes, I see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Give them a round of applause once again. So I would like to present to you
a moderator, speaker, panelist, all in one. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henrietta, for spending the last couple of hours with us.
Wow, thank you very much. So we'd like to have the closing remark, and Timmy is doing very well. Let us continue with the good work. So please give us the closing remark, and please combine it with both of sides.
Thank you very much. But before we go to the vote of thanks and the closing remarks, we would like to specially invite our Platinum sponsor to come and say a few words to us. And our Platinum sponsor is VUCA Support Production Limited. And the Chief Operating Officer is here, Mr. Shegun. Please come up. Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate him.
Yes. Thank you for the breakfast. I need to come.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here. And I really want to commend the team and the LBS family. It's a nice time out here, and I want to encourage us all that learning is continuous. And so we cannot stop learning. Once we stop learning, then you know what's the result of it. So it's also a pleasure to sponsor and to work with the team. And I want to congratulate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Shagun Faniron. It's also important to mention our other sponsors. We had Chevron, Strela, Sequest, AA Holdings, Promasidor, Lifecard, Eden Ports, Abzul, Leslie, DFD Group.
Wow!
Please give them a round of applause.
Wow.
And as you know, this is one of our social activities, and the intent was to ensure that we continue to learn from those who are in businesses and corporate organizations like us. So to do the honor of the vote of thanks, we'd like to invite one of our EMBA ESCOs, Taiwo Akimpedu, the Social Secretary.
Our Director of Socials.
Thank you so much, Timmy. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today has been very, very wonderful. I have learned a lot. I don't know about you. I'm sure you all have as well. So on behalf of the Executive Council of MBA28 and also the Planning Committee, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to every one of you for turning out en masse for today's event. It wouldn't have been possible without you. Can we give each and every one of us a round of applause? Yes. We learned a lot today. We learned about disruption. We learned about resilience. We learned about pivoting. And we also learned that it is not really about being scared of the VUCA term. It's about how we actually prepare ourselves for it. So it's a wonderful experience today. So I want to first and foremost appreciate our special guest of honor today, the person of Dr. Owen Omegiafo. Thank you so much for your presence today. To our keynote speakers, Samuel Nwanze, the Executive Director and CFO of Hairs Energies Limited. We do appreciate his insightful presentation. I'm sure we all learned from his presentation today. And of course, to our panelists, Dr. Steve Oje, Mrs. Tai Adetokunbo, Charles N.M. Bolu, Tony Abiola Salami, Obi Emetaram, and Engineer Edwin Ike Ayadigbe. Thank you so much for sharing your invaluable insights. I'm sure they were very, very significant, and they would have enriched our understanding of the business landscape and how we are supposed to drive sustainability in the VUCA world. We also want to extend our appreciation to our panelists, to our very own Dr. Henrietta. In fact, she deserves a resounding round. She wasn't just a panelist today. In fact, at a point, I was like, is she part of it? Well, thank you so much, ma'am. I really, really enjoyed your insights. You helped us to demystify some of the big words that we are hearing from the tech experts today. Thank you so much, ma'am. To our sponsors, we really, really appreciate you so much for coming out en masse, for supporting us today. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Today would not have been possible without the planning committee. In fact, I think they all deserve a round of applause. Let us give them a standing ovation, please. They deserve a standing ovation. Thank you so much to the planning committee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We went through sleepless nights putting this all together. Thank you so, so much. And of course, to my colleagues, my friends, fellow executives of MBA28, turning out en masse today. Thank you so much. I see you all. And finally, to all our friends, other cohorts, guests, invitees, we thank you. We appreciate you. It is not over. We're expecting you all also tomorrow. It continues with our dinner tomorrow. Please be so nice as to also honor our invitation in coming and turning out en masse for tomorrow's evening. Thank you once again and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Musa Yaradua, And then red carpet starts at 6 p.m. Yes. So in the spirit of VUCA, your lunch will locate you as you are about to enter your car. Yes, yes, yes. Just experience it. Once again, you've been an amazing audience. Thank you.